This week, we're going to be talking about why this little farmhouse is the most important building that I've ever made. Let's jump into it. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Garmin. This is the Storycraft Society, and this week I am coming at you with a story that just absolutely... I don't have the appropriate words to tell you how much getting to tell you this story means to me. So I'm gonna do my best. Hopefully in the ways that I do it well, you will enjoy. In the ways that I don't, you will know where I'm going with this thing. So a few weeks ago, Andy reached out to the channel. Now, what makes Andy special, I'm sure, is a lot of things, but in this context, he is the father of Daniel and Matthew. Now, for anyone who has the pleasure of meeting the boys, they are absolutely exceptional young men, but specifically with Daniel, he is incredibly intelligent, incredibly fun to be around, a little quirky. If you're a fan of The Big Bang Theory, Daniel is just a young Sheldon with aspirations of becoming an architect and having a beautiful family, both of which are goals that we all know he will achieve, but you're starting to see where I'm going with this. Architect, building buildings, all that stuff. So with every story, there have to be road bumps, and of course this one is going to have some. I will tell you now, this story is going to have its ups, it's going to have its downs, but I encourage you to please stay tuned until the end of the video for the absolute best ending that this story can have. Daniel and his brother, Matthew, are both high-functioning autistic. That means that they are incredibly intelligent. That means they are incredibly gifted with the things that they are talented in, but they struggle with social interactions. Due to the unfortunate stigma of functioning different than the crowd, that can lead to embarrassment and shyness, which makes social situations even that much more difficult. It's already a maze to try to understand people's emotions when they're being guarded, or they're not telling you the whole truth or half-truths, or just trying to be polite, but that ends up making things worse. So these are the situations where Daniel and Matthew struggle just a little bit more than the average person does. Insert Dungeons and Dragons. Andy has said that his two boys absolutely love the benefits that D&D brings to their family. It helps them figure out social interactions in a safe place. It gives them the opportunity to stretch their social experiences and muscles. And I've said it before on this channel, and I will say it again. I believe that Dungeons and Dragons is the best hobby in the world. And to me, this is just another check in the proof column. I've heard from so many different places how D&D helps with addiction, it helps with mental health, it helps with all kinds of things, and to me this one just takes the cake. It gives the boys an opportunity to be, and in a space with no judgment, with no... It gives them a chance to be. And that's absolutely awesome to me. But the story does take a little bit of a downturn from here. Last February, Daniel's family went to the doctor and found out that he had some pretty serious swelling behind his eyes. And this ended up leading to a diagnosis of a rare form of cancer. There was a tumor that was right in the center of his brain, and it was attached to his brainstem. Of course, because of this, Daniel went into emergency surgery. This was with the hope to reduce the life-threatening pressure in his skull. And of course, that was followed by chemotherapy and then a 4-month stay in the hospital. As if this couldn't get any more dire, then he spent another month in a medically induced coma. After being discharged from that hospital, Daniel had to spend another 2 months away from home, undergoing the newest form of radiotherapy, actually called proton beam therapy. So after his February 1st appointment, Daniel did not get to come home until Christmas. Complications from that have led to the fact that now Daniel is struggling to walk, has difficulty seeing due to double vision. He has very shaky hands, trouble concentrating, poor working memory. But this is an exact quote of what his father sent to me sharing Daniel's story. He said, quote, "But hey, D&D is helping once again." Daniel uses D&D with his brother to build a fantasy world in his mind where his favorite character, Steenie Thunderboot of the Badgers, a gnome who has trouble walking due to short legs, so rides on the back of his companion dog called Bagel, thrives. This is helping his imagination. This is helping his memory. Daniel's father then shares an absolute heartfelt bit with me where my videos have been helping him to craft terrain for this world. They've started to paint miniatures and construct landscapes, all of which is helping with the muscle memory and the shakes, coordination, his vision. All these things are being helped by a silly little game called Dungeons and Dragons. Now, I'd like to give another quote right from Daniel's dad. He says, "Being high-functioning autistic is difficult sometimes to find hobbies or activities that the boys can really enjoy. Any interaction with their peers can be difficult and usually end up being avoided. Role-playing games are different. They are able to practice their social interactions in a safe environment. For Daniel's post-surgery rehabilitation, it offers so many benefits. He has a very long road ahead, and we're making a lot of changes due to his wheelchair, sight problems, etc. But at least he now has a hobby he loves." In past videos, I have talked about how Dungeons and Dragons can literally save the world. And sometimes it saves the world in big ways, and sometimes it saves the world in little ways. Although to Daniel's family, we know he is not a little way. Being able to see the joy, and not only joy in like a fun sense, but literally recovery from such a dire situation is what I'm saying is so magical about this game. The good news at the end of the story, Daniel is home and he is recovering. His health is on the rise, and thanks to his hobby in D&D, his parents are seeing all kinds of positive benefits. So I made this building. I'm gonna send it his way. This little building might not seem like anything to anyone, but I made every inch of it with him in mind. It's a tiny little house, perfect for a gnome adventurer who is finding his way through the world, but always knows that he can come back home. So with that said, this is my effort of sending his story out into the Ethernet, out into the internet, out into the world, so that everybody knows him, his struggle, and his success. I encourage every single one of you to give him words of encouragement down below. Every little tick of positivity that we can send out into the world is so important now more than ever. I really, really appreciate everyone who watched this video the whole way through, and I'm gonna put links down in the description below for Daniel's social stuff so that you can keep up with him and his journey. Anybody who would want to reach out, Andy, if you want to leave a comment of how people can reach out to you and maybe send little houses and things that they've made Daniel's way, you can drop that down into the comments below. So that's going to be it for this video. This is the most important house that I've ever made, maybe the most important house that I will ever make. And I'm so grateful to have gotten to do it. Daniel, keep your head up. I can't wait to meet you and Steenie one day. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week.